Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to be ranking every single one of my Nintendo Switch games. We're only going to be ranking the games that I own physically, because to do all of the ones that I own digitally would take ages. So I guess let's just get started. As you can see, I'm using the tier list website to do this, and I have imported all of these pictures. I had to sort of crop some to be the right size and stuff. So yeah, if any of them look a bit weird, that's the reason why. So yeah, just to explain quickly what I've done here. The S rank is basically going to be games that I think are like the reason to get a Switch, like they're kind of must-haves, like the system sellers, I guess. The A rank are games that I think are absolutely amazing, but have like one or two small problems that stop it from really getting to the same level as an S rank game. The B are games that probably aren't for everybody, but are still really, really good and really, really polished. The C rank are games that I still like, but not ones that I can play often. These are probably games that I've enjoyed and played through one time, but not ones that I go back to all the time. D are games where I enjoy them, but probably haven't finished them, and are probably very, very flawed in some way. The F rank, I'm not even sure that I'm going to use the F rank, because I would say that an F was like a game that I literally just don't like, and I think is genuinely a bad game. But looking at these games down here, I don't actually think I own a single bad Switch game. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be using that. And the question mark is reserved for games that I either haven't played at all, or just haven't played enough to properly justify putting it into one of the above categories. So yeah, enough rambling, and let's get started with dragging these games to where I think they should be. So, I guess let's start with the S rank. I think there's only really two S rank games, and they're the obvious ones. Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. I think these are absolute essential games for anybody that has a Switch, and are the absolute system sellers of the console. I'm hoping that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be up there as well. Hopefully they fix the few problems that Breath of the Wild 1 has, like the fact that all of the, what are they called? All of the main temples in the game all look the same. I think they could have been themed differently, like in the older Zelda games, to just give it a little bit more visual variety. The weapon durability is a bit of a problem, as a lot of people know. And there's a couple of other things, but for the most part, it's an amazing game. And Super Mario Odyssey practically has no problems. So yeah, that definitely deserves to be up there. So, in terms of A rank stuff, let's just start picking things out. Luigi's Mansion 3, I haven't finished it yet, but I've definitely played it enough to get a good idea of what it's about. I've actually been streaming it. By the time this video goes up, I might have actually finished streaming it and finished the game. So yeah, but either way, that doesn't really matter. It's a really good game. What else have we got? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, definitely an A rank. One of the best kart racers I've ever played, but probably not the best kart racer I've ever played. I feel like it needs a little bit more content in the single player, but for multiplayer it's one of the best games on the Switch for sure. Link's Awakening, definitely an A rank. It's just a little bit short. It does have some replayability with a hard mode and stuff, and it does have a couple of optional things to do, but it is quite short for a Zelda game, probably with it being a remake of a Game Boy game and them not wanting to change it too much. So that was unavoidable, but either way it's amazing, and it's definitely the definitive way of experiencing Link's Awakening for sure. Splatoon 2 is one of the few multiplayer games that I can actually really get into. I don't know why that is. I've just recently not really been into multiplayer games too much. especially multiplayer shooters. I think with the fact that Splatoon isn't about shooting other people, and it's more so about like doing different objectives in the ranked mode, or in Turf War it's about painting the floor. I think that gives it enough like enough of a unique selling point, I guess, to make it engaging for me. But yeah, really good, definitely an A rank. What else have we got? Let's see. Oh, Animal Crossing New Horizons is definitely an A rank. I have been playing that practically non-stop since it came out. It's just an amazing game. It's probably not for everybody, as I said in a previous video that I did all about the game, but it's just so addicting. There's so many different little gameplay loops in there that keep you wanting to come back to it, like so many things that rotate on a daily basis, and it's just really, really good. But it isn't without fault, which is why it's not an S rank game, in my opinion. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, another definite A rank. The only reason that that's not an S rank, in my opinion at least, is just because of a lack of decent single player content, I would say. It obviously does have the World of Light mode, but I kind of got a bit bored with that, just because it felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again. So yeah, a better single player mode would have been appreciated there, and then maybe it would have been an S rank for me. But yeah, it's still really good. It's obviously one of the best multiplayer games on the Switch. I don't really need to say why that's an A rank. I think everybody at this point knows what Super Smash Bros. Is, so I'll leave it at that. Let's leave the A rank alone for a minute now and go on to B. So A Hat in Time is a definite B. It's really, really good. It just lacks some of the polish that the A rank games have, especially graphically. I think with it not being a Switch exclusive, it's just not really made with the Switch in mind, which basically means that the Switch version is an inferior port of the other versions. But either way, it's still really good and highly recommended. I've done a video on that as well if you want to check that out. Overcooked 2, definitely a B rank. Again, some aspects of it lack a certain level of polish. Like there's a couple of times where like there's been input drops and stuff that's a little bit annoying. But yeah, one of the best couch co-op games you could possibly hope to find. So definitely highly recommended if you're into that kind of thing. Crash Team Racing. I'm actually going to do something here. I'm going to put Crash Team Racing, Dark Souls, Crash Insane, and Spyro Reignited all in there at the same time. And the reason that they're all going in there at the same time is because they are all probably A rank games, but B rank because of their ports. Not that they're bad ports, they're actually really good ports of the games, and every single one of them are worth owning if you're a fan of that particular game. But it's just that the ports aren't quite as good as the other versions of the game that kind of let the Switch versions down a little bit. Like the PS4 version of the Insane Trilogy, Dark Souls Remastered, Nitro Fueled, and the Reignited Trilogy are all better. So I think for that reason, just the fact that the graphics are a little bit more downgraded than the other versions of the game, I think they all belong in B, despite being A rank games themselves. So hopefully that makes sense. Right, let's see what else we've got. Super Mario Maker 2. Now this is one that I'm imagining a lot of people would put in the A category. But the only reason I'm not going to do that is because I sort of feel like the online mode was one of the main standout points that separated Super Mario Maker 2 from the original, and the online just, as far as I'm aware, still doesn't work very well, and that's a little bit disappointing given the fact that we are also paying for the Switch Online now as well. If that's not been sorted out yet, it really should be sorted out soon, and I hope it is, because it's kind of ridiculous the state that that was in when it first released. You know what, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, I'm actually going to put that in the A rank. because I think it's a really underrated game. I have almost 100%ed it. I've not done the time trials yet, that's the only thing I've not done in the game. But yeah, it's really good, and it's a better version of the game than the Wii U one as well, because of the extra levels, and they also added co-op in for every single level in the game too. So yeah, if you're a fan of like charming, like puzzle games with elements of platforming, you should definitely check Captain Toad out. I think a lot of people just haven't played it because it kind of looks a little bit boring, but when you're playing it, it is definitely more fun than watching it. So yeah, a bit of a hidden gem there, I would say. Let's now just go through some of these ones here that I haven't played. So, The Binding of Isaac I've definitely not played enough to warrant being able to put it into one of the categories. Despite really enjoying what I have played of it, I just haven't continued with it for some reason, and I probably should because it seems like the sort of game that I would really enjoy. Namco Museum Arcade Pack, that's my girlfriend's, and she's into Pac-Man, so it made sense for her to get that. But I've just not really played it very much, so I can't really say anything about the quality of it. Dragon Quest Builders 2, again, that's my girlfriend's. Not really my sort of thing. Probably would enjoy it if I gave it a go, but I don't really plan on doing that anytime soon. It's quite long, and like I say, not my sort of thing. Bubble Bobble 4 Friends is one that I've been meaning to play. I actually got that for Christmas, but I want to do a review on it. So I'll probably play that relatively soon and make a video about it, sharing my thoughts. Ukulele and the Impossible Lair and Ukulele 1. I've had them for a while now, don't know why I've not played them because I would probably really enjoy them. I've played a little bit of the first Ukulele, not really got past the first level yet though. But I've really enjoyed what I've played of it actually. I think a lot of people kind of don't like the original Ukulele from what I've seen online, and I don't really know why, because it seems really good. A lot of people do like the Impossible Lair though, apparently that's a bit of a hidden gem. So yeah, definitely want to play those, but not played enough of them to put them into a rank. Are there any others that I've not played? No, I think I've played all of the others. Oh, maybe Ring Fit Adventure actually. I'm going to put Ring Fit Adventure in the question mark category just because I've only really had 2 play sessions of it and I don't feel like that's enough to properly judge it. And actually New Super Lucky's Tale. Again, that's my girlfriend's, so that's the reason that I've not got around to playing that yet. Again, that's another one that I kind of want to do a video on, which is another thing that's slowing down the process of me getting to playing it. Because obviously I've got a lot of other stuff that I want to do videos on before that. But yeah, eventually, definitely want to get around to that. Looks like my sort of thing for sure. Right, Overcooked 1. I'm going to put that in the C category, and the only reason that I'm doing that is because Overcooked 2 is better in almost every single way. So there's kind of no reason to play the original Overcooked over the second one at this point. If you've already played through Overcooked 2 and you want more, definitely go for Overcooked 1 because it is still an incredible game. But it's just kind of, it's made to look worse than what it actually is because Overcooked 2 is so much better. So yeah, that's really the only reason that's going in the C rank. Oh, actually, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, I've not played it practically at all. Again, that's one that is actually my girlfriend's, but she's not really played much of it either. So yeah, I really should give that a chance because I hear that that's really good. So maybe quite soon I'll start playing that. Maybe that's one that I could potentially stream. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Right, what else have we got? Okay, I'm just going to go through these remaining ones from the left to the right. So Snip Eclipse I'm putting in D. Just because there's not a lot to it, it's really short, and for what it is I feel like it's overpriced, or at least it was when I got it. So yeah, just for that reason I feel like that's a D. Also, I feel like the levels could have looked a little bit different from each other. From what I remember, all of the levels kind of look the same. So a bit of variety in the visual design would have probably have put it up to a C rank game. But it is still good. It's another couch co-op game that's actually got a fairly unique idea where you need to like cut shapes out of each other in order to like do different things with the levels. So yeah, if you're looking for a couch co-op game and you've played Overcooked, Snip Eclipse is pretty good. Sonic Mania, I'm going to put in C. A lot of people would probably put this one higher, but I'm just not that big of a fan of the classic Sonic games. So just for me, that's a C rank. Brain Training, I'm going to put that in D because despite it being good, again, I just feel like there's a real lack of content with it, which is a little bit disappointing given that it is almost a fully priced retail game. I think it was £40. So yeah, given that price tag, it really should have a little bit more substance to it. ARMS, again, very similar. I just feel like it doesn't have a lot going on. It doesn't have a lot of content. So yeah, I feel like that's a D rank for that reason. It should have had a full like single player like story mode, but it doesn't have that. Hopefully if they do a sequel to ARMS, they'll put that in there because I feel like that would engage me a little bit more. But ARMS 1 is a D rank. Puyo Puyo Tetris, I'm gonna actually put that in... I'm gonna put that in B, actually. I think that it's probably the best version of Tetris that I've ever played. Just because not only do you have Tetris, but you've also got a full Puyo Puyo game. And not only is it both of those things, but there's also these weird modes where you can play like Tetris, but then it transforms into Puyo. So I think it's a really interesting idea, and in a lot of ways it's actually better than Tetris 99, despite that being more in the limelight. But yeah, definitely a really good version of Tetris and Puyo. So if you're a fan of either of those and you don't have this, it's a definite purchase. You should definitely get it. Wild Guns Reloaded, I'm going to put that in C, because despite really liking it, I think it's probably the best like shooter of that particular style. It just is very short and there's not a lot going on. Like there's not a lot to unlock, there's not that many levels, and there's no modes like outside of the main like kind of arcade style mode. So just because of the lack of content, I think it's a C rank despite being a really good game. Yoshi's Crafted World. Now I'm gonna put this in B, and the only reason that I don't think it's quite an A rank game, and I think the reason for that is because it's a little bit too simple. They don't do a lot interesting with the level design, and there's a lot of problems with its structure in terms of having to replay levels a lot in order to get certain collectibles. So I think it could have been sort of fine-tuned a bit so that you only needed to go through the levels one time and made the levels a bit more interesting, and it probably would have been better off for it. But anyway, it's still a good game, even though I am being critical of all of these games. Every single one of these that I've played are still good, even if they are flawed. So yeah, don't let that put you off if I'm being critical of a game that you like, or a game that you want to get. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, I'm putting that straight in the D category. Again, it just has a lack of content. There's hardly anything to the main mode, there's not that many mini-games, and there's no modes outside of those either. So yeah, it's just not a very good Super Monkey Ball game, basically, and I can say that with authority at this point because I've played a hell of a lot of them. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, I'm going to put that in the C rank, I reckon. And the reason that it's going there is basically just because it didn't grab me very much, and I don't know why, because I used to be really into the Pokemon games, and with it being a remake of Gen 1, you would think that I would be into it, but it just kind of bored me a bit. There was too many battles, and all of the battles just felt kind of samey. And even the new like wild Pokemon catching mechanic they added couldn't spice it up enough to keep me interested. So yeah, that's all of my Switch games. Yeah, none of them are in F, so every single one of them that I've played I think are good. Even though some of them are very flawed, like the D rank ones. But yeah. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with my list or if there's any that you would swap around or anything. Also, let me know what your like favourite Switch games are, like what would be in your S tier and A tier, because they're the games that I'm most interested in because they're obviously the best ones. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your favourite Switch games are, and give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this coming soon. And until next time, bye!